Hello, my name is Amy Sturkey. I'm a pediatric physical therapist, and I'm talking to Alex Robinson, someone that I knew when I was a young therapist, and he was treated at our practice. So this is a continuation of an interview, and if you want to see the earlier parts, go back and look at earlier ones on this playlist. How do you think having cerebral palsy affected your life?
Oh, goodness. I used to think about that a lot when I was a teenager. And I would kind of daydream about what it would be like if I didn't have cerebral palsy and how much better my life would have been. But now it really has shaped everything that I am. It shaped who I am. It shaped my relationship with people. It shaped my family for the better. I think that growing up with a disability, especially the way that I did, as somebody who used a wheelchair, who used walkers, who used crutches, and now is at a point in my life where I don't have to, you gain a profound level of empathy, and to be able to relate to people and to understand their experiences and what they go through. And I think that that's really important. I think that we are severely lacking as a culture in empathy.
Yes.
But it really, I was thinking about it this morning, how much it has shaped every facet of my life. And I wouldn't trade it. I wouldn't take it away. I wouldn't. It took me a long time to embrace it, and even to love it. But without it, I wouldn't be who I am.
Right. And it seems that you've got jobs, you've got your own home, you've got a relationship. How do you feel like it's affected your work career?
No. I would typically, if I know that there's a task that I wouldn't be able to complete, I would ask for help. But I'm also
this is work.
Yes, work related. Now, because I'm working in a much less physically demanding job, I chose to tell my coworkers the company that I work for now has a really, really big diversity, equity, and inclusion initiative happening. There is improvement that can be made in the arena of accessibility, and speaking about disability in particular. And so in an effort to start the conversation, I did confide in my coworkers that I have cerebral palsy. Typically in my previous jobs in retail and in grocery, I chose not to, just because of personal preference. And there was never a task that was affected by it. You're on your feet for 8.5 hours a day. It's very, I was lifting 50 pound bags of grains. I was in better shape at this point. I've gained some work from home weight, unfortunately. But yeah, wow. Yeah. But I think it just depends on your comfort level. It depends on the people that you're around.
I just wonder, if it seems like you would have that moment of when and do I and when do I let people know, or do they need to know? Is it my business? Is it their business? Mm-hmm. That whole discussion would go at least through my head.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think with dating too.
There is only one instance that it was in my 20s, and it was the first time that I was really kind of trying to make an effort to be open about my CP. And I was on a date with a guy, and he had been fairly forthcoming about his history, and we got to talking about scars. And I brought up the one from the dorsal-rhizotomy. It goes from my tailbone up to about the center of my back, fairly large. And he asked what it was for, and I told him it was called a dorsal rhizotomy. He's like, oh, what is that for? And I said, I have cerebral palsy. And I will never forget, he set his fork down and he was like, when were you going to tell me?
Oh, wow.
And I was like, I don't typically lead with it.
Hi, my name is...
Right.
I have cerebral palsy.
So, needless to say, the rest of the day did not go well.
Oh, wow. How long have you been going?
This was our first date.
The first date. Oh, well, when were you going to tell? This is the first date.
I think maybe he thought that it was contagious. I don't know. I don't know what went through his mind.
Oh, wow.
Needless to say, never saw him again.
I just think that I would have called that a thank you moment, where I would have gone, wow, if you're going to judge me for this minor part of, relatively not big part of my life at this point, this might not be somebody I want to hang out with anyway.
Right. And that was why I didn't take it too personally, was because clearly this was somebody who didn't have an understanding as to what CP was, or maybe thought it was something else. And I was fortunate. I definitely dodged a bullet there. But yeah, it didn't. I came home and I was down about it for maybe 20 minutes, and then I was like, "Did that really just happen? Like, did that?" I mean, I got dinner out of it, so I'm not that upset. But it really it didn't affect me. It just made me want to keep making sure that the people that I dated knew, and that's kind of a really good litmus test, I think, for a person and for a relationship. Is, do they ask you questions, or do they just say okay, or do they say, when were you going to tell me? You can find out a lot about somebody's character, I think, when you tell them that part of yourself.
I think the research says that it may be that he never met anybody with cerebral palsy. Sounds like he didn't know much about cerebral palsy. He may have thought it was something he could catch. Mm-hmm. But the research says that if you know one person with any condition, spina bifida, cerebral palsy, somebody who's gay, that if you know one person and you know them well, they're a friend, a neighbor, that then you are less judgmental about that kind of person in the future. That it's the fear of the unknown or the misunderstanding of the unknown that causes problems, and hopefully that guy is in a better place now.
I hope so too.
Just thank you, and we'll look forward to seeing you next time. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye. If you liked this video and would like to be notified by email when the next video comes out, click the subscribe button here and click the golden bell icon and ensure notifications are enabled on your account.